I've been throwing every test I have at it, and still the Nothing Phone 3A Pro runs about as cool as the 2 ever did. And I see this with the 2023 Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra as well, but today I'll mainly focus on these two. It's the Nothing Phone 3A Pro versus the 2, and these are the perfect example of how a flagship model can become obsolete in under 2 years. So let's set the scene here. It was 2023, the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie just came out, and the new Nothing Phone 2 was released. Over time, components became cheaper, and so a manufacturer can drop in premium cameras and chips for a fraction of the price that it cost 2 years ago. The Nothing 3A Pro, for example, has the same cameras as the 2 did, and even a better selfie camera. I'll show you some results later. And the S25 has a more advanced chip than the S23 Ultra had way back in the day. But as I found out looking at 20 phone models from 2023 and their 2025 budget-friendly counterparts, they don't become obsolete in all areas. I'll get to that at the end, but let's first look at where it really matters with the Nothing product line as an example. Let's talk brightness, because this is the area where screens have developed most in recent years. The Phone 2 topped out at around 1600 nits, which was, well, not that great. But the 3A Pro ramps it up to about 3000 nits. That means that you can finally read your text under direct sunlight without doing that awkward hand shield thing. Colors are still punchy, but now with better balance. Whites look cleaner, blacks are still OLED deep, and nothing feels overly saturated. And we see the same happening with the S25 compared to the S23 Ultra. So let's see what powers all this and look at. Now here's where things get spicy. The Nothing Phone 2 ran on the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, which was a top tier chip in its time and still no slouch today. It could handle anything you threw at it, from heavy games to editing videos in CapCut at 2 AM, and with Nothing OS being relatively clean, the phone felt fast even months into use. So when I saw that the 3A Pro was running on the Snapdragon 7's Gen 3, I had questions. Mostly, wait, is that a downgrade? But here's the twist. It isn't. It's actually kind of brilliant. It's a turbocharged hybrid. More efficient, just as fast, and tuned for modern use cases like AI optimization and smarter power delivery. The Nothing 2 booted up a little faster though, but not by much. So there's no real difference there. In real-world performance, the 3A Pro feels faster. Apps open quickly, multitasking is smoother, and games is still buttery. I ran Fortnite at high settings and didn't hear the phone scream for mercy. And the best part is that it barely got warm. When comparing the two, the 3A Pro keeps a little cooler in normal daily use. And this performance increase might be worth it for you if this translates to battery life as well. And here's the kicker, the 7th Gen 3 includes AI processing improvements for photography and background task management. It knows how to prioritize the apps you're actively using so you don't have rogue background tasks draining your battery. So even though the name makes it sound like a weaker chip, in real world use, the 3A Pro often feels faster than the Phone 2. That's the magic of smart engineering. And the S25 even has a straight up upgrade with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. Now before we look at the cameras, which I'm sure you'll be wondering about, let's look at the So the 3A Pro got an upgrade to the 5000 mAh battery from 4700. So even batteries have become so much cheaper, they can put a larger one in a budget-friendly phone. Now on paper that might sound like a small improvement, but remember the secret sauce here. It's that new Snapdragon 7 Gen 3's chip paired with an LTPO AMOLED screen. After 2 hours of playing video, the difference isn't that much. That's not where the Gen 3 chip can shine. But shooting photos with it all day led to a more significant gap between the 2 and the 3A Pro. Charging speeds are just a little better, 50 watts instead of 45, about 65% in 30 minutes, full charge in under an hour. There's no wireless charging on the 3A Pro though, so that's something that, well, a flagship might have that a more budget-friendly option would not. But frankly, I don't miss it. I'm 100% wired, baby. Well, except for my mic, that's definitely wireless. For the S25, for example, the battery is a little smaller, but it still translates to a longer battery life. The specs may not look upgraded, but the experience absolutely is. The battery definitely wins on the current cheaper models. Okay, let's get real. Cameras are probably one of the most important specs, and the ultra premium ones don't get that much cheaper. For example, the S25 does not have the 200 megapixel main camera the S23 Ultra did, even 2 years ago. But mid-range cameras do get cheaper. The Nothing Phone 2 had a solid camera setup with a 50 megapixel main and a 50 megapixel ultra wide, and then a 32 megapixel selfie cam. Now, here comes the 3A Pro, still flaunting a 50 megapixel main camera, but this time it's rocking the Sony IMX890 sensor, also the same one used in actual flagship phones like the OnePlus 11, and a 50 megapixel selfie camera. Immediately you'll notice a better dynamic range when shooting with one of these. Colors with the main camera are a little more natural and less saturated on the 3A Pro, and a little more vibrant on the wide angle. The ultra-wide lens doesn't get a sensor upgrade, but the color tuning has definitely improved. It's not the same dramatic leap as the main sensor, but photos now feel more cohesive when switching between lenses. In overly bright situations the two perform better, like with this ball here. But in a dark environment with a little backlight, the 3A Pro managed to handle that better. It's just more confident in low light, less grain, better contrast, and colors that don't look like you applied a weird filter by accident. The zoom lens is a lot better on the 3A Pro, crisper and much more detailed. Selfies got a bit of love too, 50 megapixels instead of 32, and the processing is better. Skin tones are more natural and that overly enthusiastic smoothing from the Phone 2 has been dialed back. But the two handled video against a brightly lit background a little better though. It's wild that a mid-range phone is using the same sensor as a $700 plus device, but here we are. If the Nothing Phone 2 was good enough in the camera department, the 3A Pro steps up with real confidence. It's no S25 killer, but it's closer than it has any right to be. And the shutter lag is finally gone. It does take a long time to take a photo with the wide lens on the 2, and the 3A Pro has managed to circumvent this with the new chip. Now let's talk about the thing that usually stings with newer phones. It's the price tag. But this time it's a pleasant surprise. The Nothing Phone 2 is around $700 now, which felt fair for what it offered. Flagship tier performance with a glow-up aesthetic. But then the 3A Pro sauntered in like, I'm better. And I cost less. Yep, the 3A Pro starts at just $499. That's not a typo. That's $200 less for a phone that has a brighter screen, a newer chip, better thermal efficiency, improved battery life, and a camera sensor pulled straight out of more expensive flagships. And that's why these phones are the perfect example of what 2 years in the phone industry can do. And what's left of the price difference? Well, that's something that these newer budget phones can't live up to. The 3A Pro has a plastic frame instead of titanium, and the 2 has a couple more LED lights on the back, but the functionality is exactly the same. It has the exact same interface and functions, which are pretty cool by the way. And the S25 has an aluminum frame instead of the titanium. So in about 2 years the budget-friendly components become about as good as the premiums from yesteryear, only better optimized for a definite performance boost, extended battery life, and then the price difference that you're left with is for a premium titanium housing. And check out this video to see how little flagships change in a year nowadays. It's brutal. Well, a little sad really.